It's been wonderful seeing you on the pit. How did this project find you?
Well, I have a strange story and a strange path to the show, but the short version is I went to film school, moved to LA in 2000 and started acting. I had already been an actor and a musician before, but the my career took me into acting. And so I was working in some film and TV, and then I was in a band that got signed. So I sort of took a departure from you know, television acting for a long time and did the band for 12 years, I guess. And then eventually when the band ended, I started getting involved with healthcare, sort of just out of a practical measure. I just wanted to have something to do that was new and different, something a lot of my friends weren't doing that was also stable, as I was kind of moving into a new period of life with a kid and a mortgage and a wife. So became a EMT and worked with the fire department for a couple of years, then went to nursing school and was happily working as a nurse and a musician still. I'd kind of fantasized about wanting to get back into acting a lot. Actually, I would sort of think about it all the time, but wasn't sure how I'd get back in. And then when the pit came together, just happened to know a couple of the producers from different ways. One is a doctor that Dr. Joe Sachs, who works on the show, and then another friend of social friend of mine named Simran is another one of the producer writers. And I was friends with Noah's younger brother for 20 years. I'd never met Noah, but we had a long-term friendship. So there was all these different forces that sort of came together and auditioned for the show and got the part. And the rest is history.
What kind of backstory were you given then on Jesse, or were you not given one on Jesse?
Um, it wasn't that they gave a backstory really, but the audition scene that I first read was 2 pages, which is kind of a longer scene than we usually would see on the show. And it was just a scene with Jesse and Dr. Robbie. I didn't even know who Dr. Robbie was yet because I've never seen the show. I didn't know who was playing that part, but I pretty quickly sort of was able to gather some intel that I felt like I've continued to use for the character, which basically in the scene it was really funny. And Nurse Jesse was sort of like running his mouth a lot and trying to pump Robbie up in this scene, and it's like, say it, this day fucking sucks, come on, say it, like in his face, kind of like sort of like poking the bear, and so I just kind of like figure he was kind of aggressive, kind of funny, kind of one of the more senior nurses in the unit that probably is very experienced, and therefore, but also kind of old school, roguish, kind of bends the rules to his liking, but people tolerate him because he's very skillful. And that kind of was baked into this audition scene. And then I've just tried to be that person, ever since, even in the background or just reacting to the other characters. I think Jesse's a little sassy. So
Sounds like then the medical jargon comes secondhand to you. We're seeing you lately speaking more on screen with lots to do.
mhm. Yeah, I think that was part of the fun part for me is it was like I'd prepared for this role for a really long time. So getting to work in the set, which to me, the set itself is like another character, it's such a big part of the show, but being able to interact with all the equipment and understand the language has been really helpful. Um, just making it kind of look smooth on screen. I said so many numbers season one, and it became like the joke on set where I was like, I'm the numeric narrator, so I might be just saying blood pressures or oxygen levels or things like that audiences may or may not know what those numbers mean. So I sort of took it upon myself to try and like put a little spin on those numbers to help the audience be like, okay, this patient's getting better. Oh man, this patient's in trouble. Um, Happily this year I'm getting to do more English language, not just numbers, which is actually a lot easier. It's easier to say words. It was actually hard to remember all those numbers every day. I have to write them on my gloves and stuff, which apparently was an old Clooney trick, Noah told me.
I think people are seeing you break out more this season, as we talked about, including your juggling skills. Was that something in your repertoire that they asked you? about, or did you have to learn it for the scene? I mean, people are pretty impressed.
I'm really glad you asked about that because I did not know how to juggle. And I think Dr. Joe Sachs, the producer and writer I was just talking about, I'm pretty sure he, in our hiatus between seasons, texted me and was like, "Hey, you know how to juggle?" I was like, "Yeah, oh yeah, I know how to juggle." Because I mean, that's the actor's way, man. You got to learn. So, anyways, 10 minutes later, I'm at my neighbors in the pool, like with some Gatorade bottles. And then for the next like 2 months, everywhere, I was still working at a real nursing job too. And working with my band. And it was like backstage, he's juggling, in the hospital, he's over in an empty room juggling. Like I was just juggling all the time, trying to learn how to do it. And I did, and then pulled it off on the show, even in that moment. But it was cool to like learn a new skill. Apparently, it's really good for your brain to learn how to juggle. Yeah.
I tagged you on Instagram, but people are starting to send, or I guess this season, post more Jesse related content. Have you been seeing the influx of people really noticing your character more this season?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I don't really go looking for that stuff, but inevitably people will start to send me things. Some of it's awesome, some of it's insane. But it feels great. I mean, to be like acknowledged. It's a huge cast. And from the beginning, that was kind of the conceit. There's going to be lots of characters. And I think that's really cool because that makes it feel like real life when you get into the security guard and the front desk clerks and stuff. Like these are all such a big part of that world. Um, and obviously my guy Jesse is part of the world too. And so to see fans like taking notice of the character is great. It's really awesome. And I feel like he's got to have a little more presence for sure this year. And it's cool because I love performing as that character and getting to do like whatever, whether it's the juggling or taking care of the baby, like all these different little colorful moments are very fun for me to do. And I like that people are seem to be enjoying it so far. We'll see.
I mean, Baby Jane Doe.
Baby Jane Doe, somebody's baby.
What's Jesse's relationship like with Dana? She seems to be a mother hen of the ER.
I think a really cool and fun part about the pit, because we all do so much background work of our own because of the way we shoot the show. Season one, we had so much time all together. And so a lot of the times, like maybe they're shooting a scene over, outside one of the rooms. And then Catherine, who plays Dana, and I are stuck, in the charge nurse desk for a couple hours. So inevitably, I think because we all get so into the show and the roles, plus we're all just silly and trying to entertain each other, we really started fleshing out our interpersonal kind of like character bonds that are even happening back, in the background or off screen. And I think that starts to inform how we interact when we're in scenes in the forefront as well. And I personally think that Jesse is like one of Dana's main enforcers. Like Jesse runs security. Jesse can take care when shit is in trouble. She knows she can rely on Jesse. But Jesse also, I believe, drives her kind of crazy because he probably doesn't fill out his paperwork correctly. He's not doing his human resources yearly, modules on time. There's no way. Um, he probably rubs people the wrong way here and there, but also is like a really strong, valuable resource and tool for Dana. And he would 100% protect Dana and the other nurses and the younger. Sometimes I tend to like pop off with the younger staff, but like if somebody crossed a patient or got, you can insult your own family, but Jesse's not going to let anyone mess with his
Exactly.
family. Yeah. Um, so I think that's how I see that relationship with Dana. I think he's like a kid brother, the annoying kid brother to her and Robbie, if it was a family. Yeah, the
He
black
knows
sheep.
exactly where to put him. I mean, do your thing with Kylie, entertain her a little bit, distract her and the girlfriend, but
Mm.
also you're in the middle of of Robbie and I'm sorry, I can't think of his character right now. um, Patrick Ball's
Oh
character.
yeah, yeah, Langdon, yeah,
Langdon, thank you. You're in the middle of Robbie and Langdon's very tense,
yeah.
patient, and their backstory. I was going to ask you, with that as a great segue, is what was it like filming those scenes between Noah and Patrick, where there is so much tension between their characters? They're basically, well, for Robbie, he's holding this grudge, but you're trying to save a patient at the same time. But
Mhm.
there's definitely lingering animosity there, and Jesse's in the middle of it all.
Yeah. I think Jesse has a pretty thick skin, which is funny. I'm not that way. I'm very conflict averse and like extroverted and friendly in person, but I think Jesse is more like he doesn't give a shit about conflict. He can sit in that all day. He probably even gets some entertainment from it. But I think personally, I have a friendship with both of them. And I think our characters are all friends too. I worked a lot with Langdon season one. I was like side by side with Langdon in a lot of those trauma scenes. And I think he's like the high achieving younger brother, and Robbie's like the high achieving older brother. I think character wise, Jesse and Robbie probably go out for drinks and have been friends working together for a decade. And you got to imagine like Patrick's character, Langdon's been around a couple of years. So we're friends too. At the end of the day, Jesse will back Robbie though. Um, but also Jesse probably gets into mischief off work. So he can relate to like, Langdon probably not stealing the drugs, but maybe taking them. I don't know. That's my like 2 cents. It's probably not judgmental. Yeah, it's a pretty non-judgmental guy.
What does Jesse think of Robbie's departure and his sabbatical?
I think like as a friend, he's probably bummed that he's leaving work, but also supportive and like understands that he needs a break. But yeah, I think Robbie's Jesse's guy for sure over anybody else, especially when you get into like Al Hashimi, somebody that's all rule abiding like that is not going to like be a great match with Jesse probably. Another like relationship that comes to mind is my relationship with Garcia. I throw a lot of like side eyes to her every time she comes in and starts throwing heat at the doctors. That doesn't sit well with Jesse again. Like he's going to protect his clan. So these aren't things that are necessarily written on the page, but these are the coolest like challenges as actors to kind of like think through that on our own time and then bring that to life. That's like the fun of this job.
Do you have a favorite episode you filmed? Maybe one that we haven't seen yet, or even from season one?
Um, One episode I really loved in season one that jumps out is one that Noah wrote. I really like his writing. And it was early in the season when the parent of those two grown children was dying, and it was like a kind of an episode about their the advanced directives and whether or not to let their father pass away. I really loved that episode. um Honestly, it's really hard for me to remember episode to episode. I can remember scenes, but it's really like the real ER in that way, where it's like if you ask me a patient I saw a week ago, it's so busy and there's so much going on, you can't
Yeah, I'm
remember.
sure.
And the show's the same way. When we shoot them, when I go in there, I'm so present, and it's almost like method acting because I almost just feels like you're in the hospital. So I don't remember episode to episode with some exceptions. But then I get to go back and watch them as a fan, which has been actually really fun. I'm watching them in real time. I saw the first episode of this season in advance, and that was it. So every week to me is like, oh yeah, cool. I remember this case, but I don't even. And then I'll read the scripts, but if I'm not involved with those patient cases that are happening in other scenes, just like the real hospital, I don't know what's going on with that patient that like McKay is seeing on the other side of the unit, because I'm over here with this girl who's got this leg infection. So um, I have some exciting stuff coming up later in the season that I hope looks great, and was my favorite stuff to shoot. But um, yeah.
All right, what's Jesse's take on what's happening on Westbridge? What's its bet for what's going
On
down?
Westbridge.
Yeah.
Oh well, he said in the scene that he is betting on a fireworks in the shitter, I believe was the
Ah,
line. So yeah, he thinks somebody put fireworks in the bathroom and blew up a toilet, and it's a plumbing issue. We had a lot of fun shooting that scene because we were having to sort of improvise as um, Whitaker approached into the group, and so like me and uh, the two guys that were in the scene with me, the ER tech and the security guy, who I love both those characters so much. I was so happy to be in that scene and be in that group and get to be funny and like play around. And there was such awesome improv that didn't make. I hope if they ever put out, um, be extra clips from the scene. There was such great stuff because they really let us get loose in that scene. And Garen was like at the end, he was like, "This is legal, right?" or something like that. And then we're like, "Fuck no, man! Look at the signs." Like I mean, we just were going on and on. They'd call cut, but it was fun to shoot. So that's my favorite part on the show, to be honest, of these little comedic moments, because that's very true to life. People think that working in the hospital is all doom and gloom all the time, but to survive, you end up needing to, like, yeah, it's gallows humor, that's natural, so that you can, like, you have laughs even between these death and destruction, and that's how you survive, and that's how you show up to work every day to go see the next patient.
What have you personally taken away from your time here working on the pit?
um I think, like, the power of television to tell real stories and address issues and social issues, like, in a realistic way, has been really cool. And just see, like, this massive reach that this kind of a TV show can have is great. Um, and I don't love, like, slamming down opinions and things, heavy handed, but I think actually the Pit does a nice job of just turning a mirror back on on the world around us. All these cases and social issues that we address are things I have encountered in real life in the hospital. So it's just amazing to see how large of a reach a good television show can have. And also, I think another thing it's kind of shown me is there is this amazing return to, like, a more classic television format. And I think that people, and part of the success of the show is that people are waiting week to week so that they can watch it, rather than just, like, jamming so much, like a whole season of TV down their throat in one weekend. Although it's a great show for that because of the format too. So it works both ways. But it's been really cool seeing people come together and have something to talk about at work and open up conversation for people in their families and in their personal life and in their work life, that are things that we're kind of, I don't know, just shining a light on.
And I'm sure you must hear from healthcare workers all the time, even doctors, telling you how exceptional A, your work is, and B, how incredible the show is and realistic it is. It must mean a lot to you as well.
Yeah, it really does. And honestly, that's the kind of, like, the most fun part about this whole experience for me, is being able to sort of show all our appreciation for the people that I've met and worked with in healthcare, and people I haven't met, just the general, like, body of humans that are going out there every day working so hard to help other people. And so to get, like, positive feedback from that community is amazing, on top of just getting all this positive feedback for people that just like the show for its entertainment value. And being, a person that works in medicine and in entertainment, it's really cool that I get to enjoy this good feedback from both sides. It's really special.
All right, what's next from you? Just lots of music gigs for the time being?
Yeah, I'm playing a lot of concerts in February, so I'm kind of flying around, playing drums and making a record in LA in between that. So I'm gonna start putting out some music in March with another group that I've been working with as a producer and a writer. And what else? Yeah, some still doing some nursing as well, because I really love that too. And it kind of, like, helps. I don't know, they all feed each other. So I'm trying to keep all these different balls in the air and see what happens with the show, and just keep watching these episodes and see how we go.
What would you like to say then to everyone who are fans and supporters of the wonderful work you continue to do on our screens with this series that's just become such a fast fan favorite?
I mean, I would just send our appreciation from me and the cast, and especially the crew as well, who have been working so hard to make this show. And we just love that everyone's enjoying it and watching it, and hope that you can continue. And we're going to keep working really hard to make good television. And I think it's in good hands. We have a really good team of writers, and it all kind of trickles down from that group of people, and then we build their world. So we're going to keep working hard, and I hope you keep enjoying the show.